Shantani Purvarupani.
Om Shantani Purvarupani.
Shantam no astu krita kritam.
Shantam no astu krita kritam.
Shantam bhutam cha bhavyam cha.
Shantam bhutam cha bhavyam cha.
Sarvameva shamastu naha.
Sarvameva shamastu naha.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Okay. So I look forward to your questions.
Oh, there is one very generic one. It was brilliant the way you have mapped the words in a good expansive way into the reality of what we know from recent scientific advances, etc.
Thank
But
you.
the question really that the question really is, are we overreaching? Is the question.
So you can say, since as I told you, this is only my interconnection. So there's nobody to corroborate what I am saying. As you can see, the general commentary which is applied is like, what we have seen. Like, I'll share the screen with you. Um, it's like this one. So you don't learn too much from this, if you ask me. I mean, that's what I feel. Maybe I'm not right, but that is what I feel.
No, no, I agree that very simplistic literal translation can never satisfy us, and I agree. Actually, because the way the words are so coded, one should not be too literal, and of course, other sphere is that are we too excessive in interpretation? That's the are we too
Correct.
far out?
I agree. So the maximum, which is, you can say, too far out, is for the last one, that is yam visrishtir yata avabuva yadiva date yadivana, and that is not mine. That is Swami Dayanand's. So that one, up to you whether you want to take the Rishi's word or not. Where I have put mine is on the Tirashino Vitato Rashmi Resha Madhaha. That is where I have put in also a little bit on the fourth one. So fourth and fifth is where I have put in a bit of my interpretation. Otherwise, all the others are based on somebody or the other. In fact, even in the fourth and fifth, the Adhyatmic interpretation which is there is according to Brahma Muniji, and only the Adidevik which is there, that I have interconnected uh, the modern interpretation and what is written over here.
Okay, Uttaraji, thanks. But I also appreciate that you split it into two levels, Adhyatmic, Adidevik, because that's important. I think that is the culture of our interpretation anyway of most of the coded stuff like this in Upanishads and Veda.
Upanishads may or may not be, but in the Vedas it is very common. And actually, I feel that that is the value which I bring into this interpretation, because normally the people who are interpreting are not with a scientific background, so they are not able to connect modern knowledge with this ancient knowledge. And so then you are dependent on just the words as they stand. um, what I must tell you is that don't think that I have overreached in coming out with meanings for words, because, for example, Rashmi, this is a common duality of meaning between ray and rain, and you can even consider here for Sharman. Sharman, the Ashray meaning, which actually has been taken by a whole lot of people, like even over here, in whose keeping is coming for Kasya Sharman. Sharman typically means happiness, actually. So Sharma, that word which comes as a surname, actually means a happy person. And Sharm comes very often in the Vedas, and it means happiness, uh, prasannata. But the meaning over here, which we have taken primarily, is that of ashray. That is also a meaning which is possible. So, one thing which I must emphasize is that I have not taken meanings which are not possible for particular words. All the meanings, word by word, are possible. It is how we interpret them where the difference comes in.
Yes, yes.
Uttaraji, I have a question.
Yeah.
This is going to the very first mantra, very
Mm.
first ruk. So here, Kimavari Vaha Kuha Kasya Sharman, right?
Mm.
So here, if we take Kasya Avari Vaha under his cover, if we take like that, under the
Mhm.
God's cover, can we take it as like the Hiranya Garbha form of the Parabrahman, where everything is covered by him and it in stupor? Is that what we're talking about, or have I misunderstood that?
I would be little bit loath to move the kasya here, because in between we have kuha, which is actually kutra. Kutra kasya sharman. Where is whose ashray? So while I would completely agree with you that ka here is to be taken as the name for God as well. That is a
Mm.
very good thing that you have pointed out. So it is God's ashray is given in this word itself, Kasya
Right.
Sharma. Here, Kim Avarivaha. Uh, this Kim has to be with this one only, I feel. And then you read this as Kutra Kasya Sharman. That has, I feel it goes with Sharman only.
Okay. Kasya goes with Sharman only and Kim Avari Vaha. Okay.
Hmm.
What is that is covering and
Yeah, yeah. So it is more like, this what is the covering? So no covering is required because it is so fine, it is so dense, it is almost like zero, that the concept of a covering is meaningless. But the fact that it is not visible is that there is nobody to see it.
hmm. So probably again my overreach or my that Parabrahman is covering everything, even after the Srishti or before Srishti. So even that minute invisible particle is also covered by the Brahman is probably what I was trying to implicate myself that into. So I just wanted to clarify on that. That's all.
You can, in a way, like in this third one, tuchena abu apihitam
Hmm.
yadasi. So it was concealed within him. So
Right.
if you want to take it as the covering was him, that is
Hmm.
also an okay understanding.
Okay. Next goes to the, I think this is the fourth verse.
Mm-hmm.
Verse only, right? Just a minute. Where we are talking about Asat and Sat. Let me just open that up and yeah.
It's up here on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, you
So
want to see the explanation? Okay.
yeah. I just wanted to get a clarification of that. Mm. So here we talked about, I think, when you were giving the two meanings, right? So where they could see the, I think it's the fourth verse only, so I'm not able to pull out by myself now.
Yeah, Sato Bandhum Asati Niravindan.
Correct. So here, the Sat we have taken as in the first meaning. Sat we have taken as the primordial matter, and the transform of it to be the Asat.
The other way around, I think, isn't it?
Asat is the primordial matter.
Yes,
and
yes.
transform of it to be the Sat.
Correct, correct. Exactly.
Yeah. So again, I have when we what is Sat? Is here when we say the effect of the matter to be Sat, what are we because Sat is something that does not change or which is eternal. I'm just probably like
Yeah. So see, in the primary meaning of Sat and Asat is that Sat is that which exists, and Asat is that which does not
which
exist.
does exist. Yeah.
Okay. On now, when we start unraveling the meanings of Sat and Asat, then that which has been created is being called Sat here, and that which is uncreated is called Asat here. So instead of being, it we have moved to creation.
So that which exists now is what we are calling as Sat.
That which has been created, that which has been made out of something, yeah, that is being called Sat, and that which exists without any creation is called Asat.
Think I have to wrap myself around it a little bit, and
No, it's more easier if you just go with Nasit Asti. See, Nasit is Asat, okay, and Asti is Sat. That's the simple.
Here actually, in fact, this is a question which I wanted to ask you guys, so it's good Prashanti has brought it up, that Sat Asat have come in three meanings over here. Okay, so I have now given you one in this Sat and Asat in this fourth hymn. Okay, now I want to know the other two meanings which are hidden here. So, for example, in this first verse, when we said Na Asat Asit, no Sat Asit. So, what was the meaning of Asat here?
yeah, which seemed like not existing or not conscious.
Here it simply means that there was no knowledge that something was going to be born. I mean, since there was no knowledge that something was going to be born, you cannot talk of some asat also. That's what it kind of is hinting, maybe.
No, no.
No.
So,
I think now that you have asked question and led me to the first one, somewhere it is kind of unraveling what Asat and Sat you meant here also. What was unconscious here, or what was like, in stupor is what we were calling Asat there, because it was not conscious. So
correct.
here, by the form, by the transform, it is getting that consciousness into it. So probably that's why we are calling it as Sat.
Yeah, that's a very good interpretation, I would say. Yes. So here, what is the meaning of Sat in this particular verse, first one?
With that which was existing, which is Brahman, like, which was the only one that was conscious.
Conscious. So here, let me remind you that this Na Asat Asit and No, which is equal to Na only, is No Sat Asit. Na here does not mean no. Na and no don't mean no, but they mean like. So be clear about that, and that is when this thing reads correctly. This again, this is not my doing, even though it does not occur in most commentaries. This I have taken from Shatpat Brahman, which is supposed to be the oldest this thing interpretation, and also from Swami Dayanand's to some extent, but he has actually also not given that na as like that. I have given to you from Shatpat Brahman only. Okay, then the third meaning, which is also hidden in this verse 4, if I should can
Soul and the matter, that's what you have
that is what we
said.
covered just now. But then there is the adhyatmic meaning as well. So what is the meaning of Sat and Asat in the adhyatmic interpretation?
In Adhyatmic only, the Sat is the soul and the Asat is the matter, right?
Yes, yes. Oh, did you say that? Sorry. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you see how the meaning is changing. The same Sat and Asat are meaning different things in different places.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what, like, we have to put the whole thing into perspective, and now I'm trying to understand. So when you put it into the perspective of soul, then the matter is definitely, the soul is the one that's creating that consciousness into the matter. The matter by itself is not conscious. So in relation to the soul, the matter is not the conscious one. So probably that's why that's Asat and this is Sat.
That's very good, Prashanti, I must say. It is fitting in. Yes.
I'm just trying to so then it kind of percolates. So yeah. So if that's the right way to think, then I think I'm slowly understanding the whole suktam put together little.
Yeah, yeah.
But there is a viewpoint somewhere that I have seen that the in every, because finally even as embodiments we are parts of matter, and this embodiment of this so-called non-chaitanya filled matter only creates this chaitanya filled purusha. There is this, and then there are very simple tiriya yonis all the way down. There is this extension that even a stone, for example, has some very lowly chaitanya in it. Is some extension some people do. I don't know how you opine about that.
No, that is not correct at all. And you are Chaitanya, the soul is Chaitanya on its own. And that does not require matter to become Chaitanya. So when you attain moksha and you are independent of matter, even then you will have Chaitanya. So if the other interpretation also says that you are Chaitanya because of your body, that is also incorrect. That is not acceptable.
No, I think what Anuj is trying to point out is everything that's existing in this world has Chaitanya, like a sthan, like a stone also. Because
Yeah, so that is absolutely not acceptable. Matter by its very nature is inanimate. It has no Chaitanya at all in it.
So everything that has existence and which has growth and which has, in some way you see the transformation within is what we think to be having soul. Like a stone probably does not grow or goes through the transformations that embodied soul goes through, or the body which has a soul goes through. Is that how we understand what
So,
is
number one is you cannot hide consciousness. Okay. Ahan, I will come to you. Okay. So, you cannot hide consciousness. So, it cannot, while in sleeping, consciousness is subdued, yet it is conscious. So, you can shake up the person and the person will become conscious. So, seemingly the person is unconscious, but we all know that the person is very much conscious, and if there is a loud sound, if there is this shaking, then that person wakes up. So this consciousness in a stone or a house or a tree, no, sorry, not tree, but in any inanimate matter, it is not possible to accept consciousness. And then when this consciousness connects with the body, that body has to be already in a fairly advanced state of development. It has to be a machine in which that soul can enter. So that even when we start off with unicellular organisms, that cell itself is a huge complex machine. So the soul cannot exist by itself in a soul and show itself as being conscious. So the to house the soul, a matter has to reach a certain level of advancement and produce this machine called the cell. Then only it can house a soul in it. Okay, so those who say that some gold ornament you are wearing, that also has a soul in it, and there's a galaxy which is there that also has a soul. These are all just sayings which sound good at some level, but just because it sounds good doesn't make it right. Okay, Ahan, would you like to tell your question?
So can Sat and Asat also mean can Sat and Asat also mean that which exists and that which doesn't exist?
That is the original meaning. That is the original meaning of Sat and Asat. Sat means that which exists, and Asat means that which does not exist. Okay. So here in the first verse, those are the meanings which we are taking, where we are saying that it seemed as if nothing existed, and it seemed as if something existed. So na asat asit. Na is seem like, asat asit, that there is asat, that nothing is the everything is non-existent. No sad asit, no like, seem like, sat asit, that something existed. Okay, so those original meanings are coming in the first verse.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, then okay, if you don't have any question, then I'm going to ask you.
Can you tell what all I should add in the in the one that I wrote?
In the one that you wrote. So, have you read my commentary?
Yes, I downloaded it and I took some help from that.
So you need to have a look at it. Let me open yours. Let me stop this share here, and I will share yours. Here. Yeah, everybody can see.
Yeah.
Okay. So more or less your first three are okay. As far as the fourth is concerned, one is briefly switches to recent times. That is not correct. This is, firstly, they are running parallel. Those two meanings are running together. So it's not switching, but both the meanings are correct, and both have to be understood in that place. So one is of a more recent time. You're right in the sense that it is when beings have gotten created, and the first one is continuing with the creation of the universe from the beginning. Okay, so don't understand it as something which is switching or anything. It's not like that. It is two meanings running parallelly. So we have come in the third verse up to some point where Mahat has got created from that Abhu which was there. Now the steps from Abu, from Mahat, I should say, to the beings, those are being taken as one meaning, and from the beings onwards are the second meaning. Okay, and both are being covered parallelly in the fourth, fifth, and sixth meanings. Okay.
Okay.
And
And in the fifth?
1 minute. Became the math, and then yeah, so just you need to go through my commentary a little bit more. So for example, when you say over here, because they had the desire to come into the world through a body, so the desire was not just to come into the world but to consume matter. Okay, so that was the desire which was overwhelming the souls. That means the souls were wanting to implement this desire, and because the desire existed in the soul, that became the nimitta karan for the creation of the universe. Okay, so in the between this meaning 1 and meaning 2 also, you can see that one is talking of the upadan karan plus the nimitta karan of God, and the second meaning is very importantly giving this second nimitta karan. That means if the soul did not have the desire to consume the goodies of this world, then this world would become meaningless. If all of us became mukta souls, okay, then this world would no longer exist. So you again, you once you take the meaning to the extreme, you immediately get the correct meaning here. If everybody attained moksha, God would not need to create this universe. This universe would just disappear. So because there are all these souls which desire things, that is why this is here. So it's important to understand the cause and effect which is being mentioned over here. Okay, then now the particles of the present day were matter and is provided and all that. Later atoms formed. So the verse is talking about this CMB radiation according to me. Okay, and I feel that that has been mentioned over there because it is the first thing that we can detect. Okay, so God himself has said, look for this radiation. Okay, this as Anuj pointed out, you can take it as my overreach, but that is where I feel that that is there. Then of course there is that second adhyatmic meaning which is also there in here too, and that is that the souls are bound by the deeds which they have done in their previous karmas, and those extend into this. So there the Rashmi means rain. The karmas of the previous karmas, the previous janmas are determining how they will be born, whether they will be born in the higher yonis or in the lower ones, and it will extend far into the future for these souls. And also in both these cases, that prayati parastat and swadha avasthat, that meaning also you need to include over here. Swadha avasthat in the first meaning is that these atoms can exist by themselves. They come into creation first, and the forces which control their behavior actually in today's world, they come later on. And in the second meaning, when you say swadha avasat and prayati parasat, then that can have again two meanings. That one is the subtle body that can exist on its own. It does not require this gross body which eats food, which breathes air. The subtle body does not require that. It can uh, exist without any support. So that is why it is swadha. And prayatihi parasa, that means this gross body which does most of the efforts is comes later. Or another meaning is prayatihi means prayan, that which dies. Prayan means going away. So that which dies comes later, or is the other body which is connected with his soul. So there are many layers of meaning here, Ahan. It's possible you may not understand all of them. It's okay. You need to go over it slowly over a period of time, and all the meanings will settle down in your head also. So don't worry. As long as you've got the first round, is pretty good. And yeah, go ahead.
So you think that the material body comes first and the soul comes after that?
No. Soul, this thing you must fix in your mind. There are three eternal things which are never born and which never die. Eternal means that they don't have a beginning and they don't have an end. Okay, these three things are one God, not multiple gods, one God. Then amorphous matter, then which then can split up and become atoms, and so form many different things, some of which seem to have a form and therefore are amorphous, and some of which don't have a form, are powder like, and therefore they are amorphous. But by itself prakriti is amorphous, so original matter. The third thing are a very large number of individual souls, also called as jivatma. So you have Paramatma, Prakriti, and Jivatma. So Jivatma are again very minute and have consciousness in them. These are many. God connects them to a body. The body is material, but the soul is immaterial. Immaterial meaning is not made of matter. Now this body can be of three types. One is the gross body, which we can see with our eyes or through the microscope, and then there is a subtle body which you cannot perceive in any way whatsoever, and that body is connected to you at the beginning of when you are made into a being in this creation. So whenever at the beginning of this creation, God now wants to put this soul down as a being on some planet, he connects it with a subtle body. This subtle body can survive on its own without a gross body. That is the subtle body which is being talked about here as Swada, and the gross body is being called Prayati.
So no, but when the human is made, so first the body is prepared, and when the body is ready, then a soul inhabits it.
Yeah, not really. See, so we have to go a little further back in time. Say, if we look at the beach which is there, which has been called Reta over there, which we have seen, we have interpreted as DNA here. When that thing enters, at the same time life enters. So for example, in if we look at the human being, then the semen is the one which has the new soul in it. Okay. Now, if we look at, say, a unicellular organism, which that one cell splits into two, at which point the new soul enters the second cell? We don't know. Okay. The moment that probably the nuclear matter separates out, maybe the soul comes. But this is a guess from my side.
Then what it's talking about is that first the body and the soul comes, then all the force like breathing, that comes after that. Like it starts breathing after that.
Okay, that is a possibility. Yes, sure. It may mean that. Yes,
Okay.
I cannot rule it out.
And in the sixth one,
Let us do one thing. Let us close this session, and I'll start the new one, new meeting. Okay.
okay.
Okay.